With MakingStarWars.net.
Thanks, Mark. I really enjoyed your George Harrison video today. We'll talk to you later. And I'm Jason Ward, and this is my sketchy friend Rob. And
sowing the seeds of love.
And this is Penelope.
No.
Or your name isn't Penelope? This is Penny. This is Penny.
Funny
It's time for another Penny cartoon.
So yeah, we're doing the show later tonight because Rob was getting a tattoo, and
Grand Theft Auto 4, right here.
Do you have any tattoos?
No,
Yeah.
can't get them.
No,
Keloid scars. Can't do it.
Yeah. I don't have any tattoos either. So
Yeah, people always bum me out. They go, "Whoa, you want to see my tattoo?" I'm like, "Hey, you want to see inside my mouth?" My dentist says I'm really good. You know, it's not my thing.
yeah. Yeah, no. Anyways, we got some Star Wars news to talk about, and a little bit of stuff to analyze as we get into it. So, because we're doing it later tonight, we got Penny with us. She, Penny, are you a Star Wars fan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know. I mean, you got this Baby Yoda shirt on, so I figured that was the case, and I was like, well, you could be on the show. But
and because we're instantly demonetized, she's no money Penny.
No money Penny. Well, I
Right?
got Penny. Penny.
Nice.
Eric says hi, and he says that Christopher says hello. Yeah. Oh, getting embarrassed
No.
because he's like a hot dude in first grade.
Santa hot or
Yeah.
elf hot? Like
Alf hot. No. Today I took Penny to see Santa.
The fake Santa. The fake one.
You're sure it's the fake Santa?
Yes, he did not have a mustache. He just had a beard, a big fatal beard that went right here.
He had like the mask on, so he had like the beard that went over the mask, and she was like, "That is not canon." So yeah. Anyways,
no, the Grinch is a lizard person.
do you ever think about that, Penny?
It's true. He's green.
So this story here,
It's a Christmas miracle.
I didn't look into it. I don't have anything to validate on this stuff. But all we can do is listen. I'm going to be honest with you. If you hit the mic one more time, you're fired.
That's what happened to Alf.
Get it?
Don't. You'll get fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. Okay. Okay. We have to try to read an article. I don't have my glasses on. All right. So this is from Giant Freaking Robot. It says exclusive. Harrison Ford is returning as Han Solo. Behind the magic is all of Ford pens Star Wars deal. The ink is just drying, and it was like, they would have filmed this like a year ago. Like, this is not how this works.
They're gonna get on it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right in the morning.
That site, I think they'll just say anything now. But anyways, Giant Freaking Robot is reporting this. While Harrison Ford has starred in many movies over his prolific career, audiences will always know him as Indiana Jones, Rick Deckard, and Han Solo. Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think people know him as Rick Deckard. I don't think so. I think a couple of people do. I
think they think his name is Blade Runner. If you want to put money on it.
Yeah. They definitely think his name is Blade Runner.
Blade was originally white.
Maybe Jack Ryan. Maybe
Indiana Jones. That's
nice.
it.
Anyways, he seems pretty okay with that as he's returned to sequels for all three franchises within the past decade. Blah 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 blah. This likely wasn't anything new for Harrison Ford. Oh, by the way, Uh,
That was 79.
I got it on pretty good authority that Indiana Jones 5 will be filming until about February.
Ooh.
Yeah, because remember, I forgot to follow up on that. They were finishing up in Italy. They were finishing up. You can't mock me. You can't mock me. You have to go in the chat and do that, and super chat me. Anyways, yeah. So around February, I believe we're gonna have Indiana Jones wrapped, provided Harrison Ford's leg doesn't fall off or something.
Well, they'll have 13 months to add it back in post. 18 months. 18 months.
Yeah, right.
They will. They're gonna have as much time in post as it would to shoot Indiana Jones 5.
Yeah.
6. Sorry. 6. Yeah.
So okay, I'm trying to get past that 300 word limit filler that we have to read through. Before Mark Hamill appeared, yeah, we know Mark Hamill was back.
Yeah.
So,
Merc Hamill.
The Book of Boba Fett won't have that same fan expectation. It would be a great way to pull in more original material. Okay.
Is it because they got the deepfake guy now? You know, they're like, well, we got the deepfake guy. We're gonna put him to work.
Yeah, pretty.
You know?
I mean, now it would not surprise me at all that Harrison Ford would come back to do the de-aged work. It wouldn't surprise me at all that it was part of a multi-appearance deal. I mean, that was how they got him in the sequel trilogy films, you know, was that if they needed him for other things, and he was happy to do it. It's not as gritty as they make it sound, you know, with Harrison Ford, like, I won't do anything. Do you know who I am? Like, it's not really like.
Ever since David Blaine spooked them, he's like, I'll work. I didn't want to see magic anymore. I'll go to work.
let's put it this way. He did the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. Let's just
when he was Jack Ryan.
Yeah, he's good at making himself seem like a really hard get. I'm not taking away from that whatsoever. That's true. He does do that. But he'll do something out of a favor to someone or because it sounds like fun and it's not a lot of work, you know, and stuff like that. So God, I want to say it was Star Wars Meg who was coming up with the theory for a little while that if they brought Harrison Ford in, it would be through Maz's castle, and maybe that's how they get Grogu to the to the Mando, to the team for some reason, something like that. Like you could imagine some kind of moment where, you know, I mean, who knows? Maybe Luke Skywalker. Maybe it's as dumb. It won't be, but maybe it's as dumb as Luke Skywalker actually has to go on a serious mission. Something serious did come up, you know, like maybe he's out hunting for that dagger with Lando, and he's got somebody has to watch the kid. He needs a babysitter. I don't know. I'm not sure how that would go, but around this time I believe it's around this time that Han Solo is in the picture, but Lando and Luke go off to find Ochi and get that dagger, right? Isn't it sometime after Return of the Jedi?
The dagger.
I love the dagger.
Is that canon?
I love
thing.
I love the dagger. I love the chase around it. It's just more of when I see Ochi, I'm like, his name is Ochi. He sounds like like Palpatine's pot dealer.
He sounds like him and Bowie, right? Ochi and Bowie, or Ouchie and Bowie, are they're like the Cheech and Chong of Star Wars.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I mean, anyways, so
it's still spice.
Yeah, so there could be some kind of story, you know, where stuff starts to go down and he can't watch the kid. I don't know. I mean, that does sound really rudimentary to take it that way, but that is also what's going on. And I mean, wouldn't it be? I mean,
wouldn't it be great if they CGI'd a young Ben Driver or Ben Driver?
Ben Driver.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Out my porno name. My OnlyFans feed account.
It is like if they made a Little Lebowski sequel, right? He'd have to team up with Ben Driver for log jamming. You know, the force arises, right?
Yeah. Jason points out that Ford did Expendables 3, and it's like, yeah. I mean, he'll do something in the name of fun, and I won't mind if he's back. I kind of hope that he is.
Look, they have an AI system right now designed just to young up Harrison Ford. They gotta put it to use.
Yeah.
Like that's just how, like, from a pragmatic production standpoint, like, I'm like, look, if I'm a producer, I'm like, man, he can do anything. We're gonna de-age him, he can change his expressions, they can, like, move his face around, like, remember Mario 64, you could stretch his face and, like, grin him up and shit.
Oh yeah, on the like start screen.
Yeah, Kathy and cool guy. He can Kuloni can they can do it. They can do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Face off.
God, I wish Mark Hamilton was here. Mark Hamilton has a theory, but I don't want to drop his theory would rather it be okay I drop his theory, so I want to ask him. But Mark Hamilton has this really good theory, and I meant to bring it up to him. We were talking about it, and then I got sidetracked. But yeah, I think he's onto something. So maybe when he sees this, he'll tell me, or if he doesn't see it, I'll talk to him tomorrow, and we'll talk about it on tomorrow's show. But yeah, because I mean, season 3 of Mando, man, I mean, it's got a lot going on, and I have to assume that Book of Boba is going to be setting it up, like that. If there's going to be some way that Book of Boba weaves back in, because I could be wrong. But I haven't. I was looking into when Book of Boba season 2 is going to start, and all I was told was we have a lot of shows coming, and nothing firm on that one starting next year. So I think I'm guessing right now, but with the other shows that are coming, we may see like Book of Boba and Mando kind of like an every other year kind of situation, where like it's like 1 year on Mando, next year's Boba, and it may kind of oscillate like that for a little while, and then but it may not. I mean, but that's how it's looking to me at the moment. And so we're gonna have Grogu probably coming back in Boba Fett is gonna be in everything, I guess. Which in the Boba Fett side of things, if it's clever, if it makes sense and it's clever, then I'm all for it. I do feel like right now,
named dog fire spray.
season 2 though. Well, I mean, yeah.
You drink hot sauce and piss all over the floor. The rug has a Scoville of 62.
I mean,
sorry. Even though it's late, I can't help it.
If Boba is in some way indebted or bound by honor, so to speak, to handle the mission, like how he was when we saw him with Grogu last time, that may make meeting Han Solo interesting. That may make it where.
What if it's just parent-teacher conference day?
Yeah.
At the Jedi Academy, and Han has to come in, and Ben's like, he's the Corey Feldman of the Stand By Me, or he's a River Phoenix of the Stand By Me, right? So he would be, right? Right?
Realistically, if I was to write the scene where Boba and Han Solo meet again, but they are in a, how Obi-Wan Kenobi and Jango meet in front of little Boba, and they're kind of pretending like I'm just doing my job. They're both kind of like just reading their lines to each other because it's It's
it's a formality. Yeah,
well, in that conversation between if Han and Boba meet in a sequence like that, Han's gonna bring up, "I was blind," and you got your ass kicked by a blind guy. Boba's gonna have to laugh it off. They're gonna have to. How about we just don't talk about this anymore and we leave it alone? Don't you think? I mean, there has to be a comical way of getting at that.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't put the on switch on the back of the rocket pack.
Yeah.
Just punch it.
I mean, Din is aware of it because he does it to Timothy Oliphant, shoots him right up into the fucking stratosphere to save his life, in season 2 in that opener. So even at that, it's even kind of a known thing. I mean, unless Boba, who in the comics goes around, maybe I am making this bigger than it is. But I feel like in the comic books, Boba just is always, every scene is, "Don't you know who the fuck I am?" Like every single
you look a little bit like Boris Johnson when you do that.
Who's that?
That's that shaggy-haired prime minister over in the UK. You gotta get real. You got a little bit of it. I'm jealous. I never look like anyone famous.
I need the Dumb and Dumber fucking hair, and I can do it. Anyways, oh no, God, how do we break this to Burger? I hate to tell you, not canon. No, kidding.
Well, we have the story. Yeah, they reunited in my favorite book too. Star Wars Underworld, the Yavin Basilica.
Welcome to the underworld.
Not canon, sadly. Fun story.
Yeah, and then on a
they didn't reunite. That's before A New Hope. Sorry, but you get the idea.
The general discourse of fans has been that we're moving. It's always like we're moving in towards the recanonization, retelling of Heir to the Empire with this stuff,
or Ship of Princess Leia,
and then I've heard Shadows of the Empire to some degree, which kind of doesn't make as much sense. But they did name drop Shizor in the comic book with Kira. Kira name drops it, so he's going to be using his pheromones on her, and she's not going to be able to resist it. She's going to be like, all right, I'm not going to lie, I banged Han Solo when he was barely legal.
Who was that guy that was supposed to marry Princess Leia in the courtship of Princess Leia? Because I always thought of him as Lloyd Braun, the guy who took over for Mahoney.
Yeah,
in those Police Academy movies that sucked. He played Lloyd Braun inside of them.
Yeah, his name was Dev Gutenberg.
Yeah, he looked like an emaciated Gutenberg, like Ronnie Reagan. If you could combine Ronnie Reagan and Gutenberg, like a Guten Reagan,
yeah.
Like
I watched
you get Lloyd Braun.
Last night. I watched the cut scenes with my son. My son, he was like, he wanted me to take him to get something to eat, and I'm like, okay. He's like, can I connect my Switch to your phone? I'm like, fine. So I'll listen to music. So that's like that. So I take him out to get something to eat, and he's watching the cut scenes from Star Wars movies, and he just thinks the animatics are so hilarious because they're so bad looking from like 2003 and stuff. He thinks it's all a joke. This is like a funny video. But that's why
all the special effects just happen like in a button.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, he's a stagecraft kid. He's like that's how they make these things? Really?
Yeah, that will be something. There'll be a whole generation of people before we exit this earth, where the effects were always there. Like like the Matrix, where the machines were always there before them. They're like, we don't know when they built the machines. Really, like, we're fuzzy on that. Yeah.
But we watched like the Bell Organa scene and stuff like that. And I was like, man, these really were pretty boring and kind of bad. So for the most part, those cut scenes there wasn't very many where I was like, I wish that was in the movie still, but they're hard to watch today because they're like 1080, not even 1080p, they're like 480p because on the extended Phantom Menace scenes, they were all done in 480p because they were just made for the DVD with only DVD in mind, on a budget, like the extended sequences and stuff. And so I don't think that they'll ever remaster those. But I do like that moment where the bongo almost goes over the side, like that it really does distract, but it is a fun scene.
Ricky says, "Is our boy Dash Rendar coming back? He should be Matt Berry. If you're gonna bring Dash Rendar back, I want Matthew Berry."
Matt Berry. Is that friend?
He's from What We Do in the Shadows. He's Laszlo, or he's he's what's her face is Matt Berry from IT Crowd.
Yeah. I don't
I'm
know.
Dash Rendar. It'd be the best.
I mean, when it comes down to, like, for instance, my guess is they had two people who were going to be on Tatooine and they were going to be hostages to the gang, and somebody said, "What if we make it Fixer and Cammy?" That's hilarious. Let's do it. And then they like did it. I wouldn't be surprised if we have sometime down the road we end up with, and this other smuggler kind of guy, and then they're like, let's make him Dash Rendar. I bet you something like that goes down.
I was almost afraid they were going to make him the captain of this galactic star cruiser.
Yeah,
don't pull that one out the hat.
Man,
I can't believe I was like, don't ruin Dash Rendar, but
George Lucas looks like an asshole in his Baron Papanoida costume, but it's funny.
It's funny because it's George.
Because it's George, yeah, and you're like, yeah, and it's ridiculous. And he's at the opera, and then they have that guy coming in. That guy like he's just ready to get into lead a parade. I'm the captain of the parade, and doing this and everything with his hand. Stick,
it's hot.
The parade stick. And he's like,
he's a hot
parade sticks, But anyways, yeah.
But, that's pretty accurate, Wards. That's how we do it down in Modesto.
Yeah, it is kind of tricky though, because I feel like whenever they acknowledge something, it makes people who are excited about that callback yearn for what's been deleted. Like when you mention Shizor, you end up with a bunch of people going, "Oh man, I really want that to happen. I really wish that was," and it's like not like a thing anymore. And it's fine. I mean, they should just be grown-ups and be like, I could still go read Shadows of the Empire and have a good time.
I want a young Luke in that vest that Struzan put him in. Right?
Yeah.
He had the black suit with the vest. I thought that was a great combo.
It was a good costume. I was hoping the Marvel Comics may bring that back. I
never got a figure with that too.
Yeah. Instead, they put him in that red costume. I have a feeling they were making that guard and decided if we just make it Luke Skywalker and put the helmet on him.
Yeah. Because he sneaks in at the end, right? But yeah, it's a gimmick.
But I have a feeling that was just going to be the guard, and they're like, let's just take the head and make that into a thing, because it felt that way to me, anyways. So, but anyways, back to the Han Solo thing. Han and Grogu. It's a weird one. Like with like the limited knowledge of what's there.
Grogu starts touching the knobs. And he's like, he pulls out the gun. Do it again, kid.
Yeah.
You don't touch it.
What if Chewbacca pulls his arms out of his sockets and makes them?
It's essentially the cut dark ending to Muppet movie when they actually turn him into frogs' legs.
Yeah.
They just eat him at the end.
I mean, like what's sort of weird about it is at about this time, I believe, shouldn't Han Solo have a baby Ben Solo? And will Chewbacca be with him? Like, Chewbacca kind of goes home for a time in the novels. It sounds like he goes back to his old life and then meets up with Han when Han dumps the family and gets back into the cool life again. I don't blame him. I mean, you were with Princess Leia in her prime. She's an old general now. You're a pirate. You're Harrison Ford. You know what I mean? And let's be honest, Harrison Ford.
I am a pirate. Yeah.
He can keep living that life. So, Yeah, and then Chewbacca was down for it. Chewbacca hates his family, which is the
Did
one
you see that? Speaking of Chewbacca, did you see that little preview for Oral Knots Episode 7, Banana Time?
Yeah.
When they
Yeah.
cut to Chewbacca, it's just a guy screaming. Like, so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I tried to get the kids to watch it last night. Oh, I
That
tried to
humor has to be above them. Like
they wouldn't go for it. We were watching these random YouTube videos, and somebody made like a very long video of General Grievous. You know how he goes, "Your lightsabers will make a fine addition to my collection." You know, he says that. It's just a whole video of every single time somebody loses a lightsaber, General Grievous picks it up and says that. They added him into it. And it's
every
hilarious.
like in Attack of the Clones, he's just back there picking up the lightsabers in the
Exactly.
the stadium.
When Ben throws the saber in episode 9 into the ocean,
Yeah,
Grievous shows up. Let me go find addition to my collection. And that's when I was like, okay.
Yeah,
I
that's good.
a lot. So, oh, thank you, X-Wing, for the super chat thing. I appreciate it, man. For Christmas special proves to us why Chewbacca hates his family. Can't blame the guy. Yeah, I mean, you can only take so much Jefferson Starship with your father until you do lose your shit and go out to buy a pack of death sticks and return 20 years later.
What if he just puts Grogu on a skewer like he did the Porgs? That's what happened to Grogu. Han comes out, I was like, we gotta find another one, and they find another one, and just because no one can speak Yoda anyway, so they just replace him with the burnt clothes.
If they'll put a Salacious Crumb on a spit, I'm sure they'll put Lumpy on one.
And they're like, but Rob, you could speak to him to the Force like Ahsoka. Turns out she just made that up. She couldn't really speak to him. Right?
Yeah, but I am curious if we just have Harrison Ford show up, looking like Return of the Jedi era, because it's probably piggybacking on the Indiana Jones work for doing that stuff. They probably were able just to almost sideline the work with the same team, I would imagine. And but do we have Chewbacca show up? Do we see baby Ben Solo? You know what I mean? Like
I want my baby Ben, baby Ben, baby Ben, baby Ben, baby Ben, baby.
Maybe it's like maybe it's a whole episode, and it's like one of those 80s movies, like, he used to be a space pirate, but now he's got 2 kids and wife's gone back to work.
Whatever happened to Millennium Falcon?
It's called Mr. Mom Mothma. Yeah.
Dengar Boston and Mrs. Devon. Isn't that the best Star Wars?
Why did you do this? You made Desperado.
I'll never get tired of making fun of that guy. They need to get the guy who did Full House and all those theme songs to do the theme song for that, to bring it full circle. It'll be like their WandaVision series.
All right. So what else do we got? What else do we have here? I think I have something else here. I thought I loaded something up. Yep, I did. It's Book of Boba Fett news. Inside the Mysterious Bounty Hunter's Return to Star Wars by Jim Halterman. Don't you call him Jimmy. His name is
Are we
Jim.
supposed to be looking at something?
Are you? Are you supposed to be looking at something?
Don't know what you're
Look at the fucking screen, bro.
I was like, is it you just rambling like a madman? Okay.
Look. Okay. Here's what you guys missed. Don't you call him Jimmy. His name is Jim.
I was like, is this how he develops songs? Are we seeing this now? Like in Get Back? Like, is this?
I got my dented helmet on, and there's a fat pig next to me. Not her. Not her. Not her. Yeah. All right.
I'm improvising Yoko style, guys. Leave me alone. Spoken Yoko. That's what I'm doing.
Kiss, kiss. All right. So there's actually a lot in this article. This is from TV Insider, In a Star Wars universe that has found great glory in returning favorites, young Han, old Luke, Baby Yoda, there may be no resurrection more welcome than the book of Boba Fett. As faithful fans of the franchise know, stoic bounty hunter Boba Fett is the space set canon's ultimate quiet-masked anti-hero, a character who piqued great interest in the 1980 film Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Met a ridiculous end of 1983.
I was born in 1992.
Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And his backstory. This is feeling a little like what's his name, by the way, right now.
They didn't even read up on the action figure thing, huh?
And his backstory told of the prequels that followed. Finally, he's back. The badass fighter, played by Tamir Morrison, blah blah blah. Come on, where's the gold? Trying to find out how Boba survived his big screen demise, he somehow escaped from a toothy Sarlacc pit, and what he's been up to is blah blah blah. Hush hush. He's blah 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 blah. All right, wait. All right. He's had a tough upbringing in terms of losing his dad. This is Tamir Morrison. And having to find his way to figure out who he is, where he's from. He has a few chips on his shoulders. Okay, so yeah, we have a little bit of a moody Boba Fett. That murky history leaves a fairly blank slate for the character, which excited executive producer Robert Rodriguez, who directs 3 of the 7 episodes.
Oh, there's some news.
Yeah,
because before we heard 2.
Yeah, before we had him.
Was it Empire magazine that we read that in?
You know what? I don't even think it gave us. From memory, it didn't give a breakdown. It gave directors, and we were like, well, maybe Filoni does too, or we weren't really sure. I think that's how that happened. But if TV Insider has been informed correctly, he does 3 of the 7 episodes. So in a weird way, that's very good, honestly. It probably means he does the first and the last and something in the middle, right? Or maybe it's like he does like the first 2 or the end 2. But I'm gonna guess he bookends the whole thing. Like, it kind of seems like if he's kind of like in essence running the show, or is he the showrunner specifically? I know they call him the producer.
Filoni? Or Favreau?
I don't know if Favreau the actual showrunner, or
I thought Robert Rodriguez was doing the whole thing. This has to be the story group.
Well, no,
the Grace Randolph story group we heard about.
Something else. That's a whole different thing. That's a bunch of book nerds that all
the GRST.
Yeah. Anyways, so he goes on to say, "I've always loved Boba Fett, and there wasn't very much known about him." He says, "Now I think Boba will be synonymous with a really great time."
GRSG.
Put that on your Tinder, Boba. There are a lot of challenges that he deals with in a very unorthodox way. So, all right. I think that means he pulls his wiener out. It's like, let's size up. And people are just like, hey, you win, dude.
Oh, shit. I'm a clone, but I'm bigger than my dad. Oh,
all right. All right, dude. Fine.
Turns out all the clones, it's the only thing they couldn't figure out. So they got varying sizes. And that's how they know. That's how they rank one another. Like,
Well, I'm guessing that
don't know why I find that funny.
Like, you heard the legend of Jango Fett? He had the biggest wiener in the galaxy. He did.
Like they made sure Jango knew he had the biggest. None of the clones can be bigger than him. Like that was his one rule to the Geonosis. The Geonosis, the cloners, whatever. Fucking, I'm all confused on those dudes. Too many Ozians in the Star Wars. Pneumodians, Geonosians, Kaminoans. Like George, I was saying this when I was sitting down to write my little Star Wars fan film in '98. Mm-hmm. It dawned on me how many fantasy names end with N. Like, and so I was going out of my way to make sure I didn't do that. Right. But it's so common. And then when Attack of the Clones, between 1 and 2, I'm like, it's too... Like, Ewokians would be bad. You see what I mean? Wookins. Yeah. Like, that wouldn't...
Ewok the walk, gonna talk the talk. Those challenges stem from Boba's actions in last December's after-credits scene in Mandalorian Season 2 finale, where the warrior returns to the double sun desert planet Tatooine. Viewers saw
double your pleasure, double your
swiftly kill the successor of gangster villain Jabba the Hutt. It was taken out by Carrie Fisher's Princess Leia and Jedi. Bib Matthew Wood and steal the throne with the help of the mercenary Fennec Shan, Ming Na Wen. Not that much time has passed since Maraid's here explains when about where the new story begins. We're setting up this underworld that has never really been explored. So she says not much time has passed since that happened. And so like I'm wondering if we should be reading this as, is this gospel, or is she, or do we have like 10 minutes of sideways to, because there's been a lot of scenes that appear to be sideways to the Mandalorian. Like it appears that he is discovering the Slave One in that garage and he hasn't seen it in a long time. That's the vibe I'm getting from those TV spots.
Yeah, see, for the people in the blip in the Marvel universe, it was a second, but for Boba Fett, it was a long 5 years.
Right?
What was he surviving on? Just Sarlacc bile, or
Yeah, I think he's just taking those tentacles off and just
because he's big when he comes out, so he had to be eating something down there.
Yeah.
Like, what if right before they showed up, someone had dropped a whole a pizza delivery guy down there, so he just had 5 years worth of pizzas.
It's gonna turn out that he cut off one of the tentacles and he's stuffing his pants like Derek Smalls and Spinal Tap, but using.
I thought you were gonna say he's eating some of those tentacles that they added in for the special edition or something, right? Like the beaks.
The beaks, yeah.
There's another beak down there. He's eating that. He's eating the beaks.
It's a Boba beak. Well, we're setting up the underworld that has never really been explored, and then we see her. And by the way, Boba's not sitting down right here. He's just really tiny.
He was explored a little bit in Solo, though, right?
Yeah.
Never.
If you want to be super nerds, yeah.
Super nerd who watched the movie they released theatrically. Sure.
Warwick Davis didn't see it. No, I'm kidding.
It's this close to making a height joke, Rob. Don't do it.
Here,
don't.
There it is, right there.
Bad form.
Look how short Boba is.
Oh, I'm trying to. He's sick jumping.
See that.
It's only because they don't like him.
In order to rule the planet, you have to be this tall, and he just barely makes it with. He doesn't even make it with the little antenna, so he has to take his mom. Anyways, the dangerous underbelly to the sand planet will be filled with threats for Boba and Fennec to fight off as they try to take control of the criminal inhabitants. They definitely get outgunned a lot. So yeah, we've kind of seen that a lot in the teaser TV spots and stuff. We'll quickly see how these two warriors rise to the occasion. Wen likens it to The Godfather. Boba grew up with that sort of military training, says Fennec. She grew up on the streets. The combination of their knowledge and experience really complements each other. So
my thing what they keep bringing up The Godfather, it's like, Scorsese already has like he already hates superhero movies, and none of them, other than The Joker, which he executive produced, by the way.
Wait, are you thinking of Francis Ford Coppola?
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah,
man, I'm fucking off my game tonight.
Get the fuck off. Get the fuck out of here, Rob.
Well, he made a shitload of gangster films. Fuck you. Like Godfather, Goodfellas. You know what I mean? Like, get the fuck out of here.
You know what? I'm gonna say Goodfellas is just sort of okay. I'll give it to you. Their still new union also benefits from a shared experience. Cheating the Grim Reaper.
Remember that time Scorsese directed the Star Cruiser film, but I thought it would have turned out to be a hotel?
Yeah.
It's crazy. We thought the film was about a book, but there was a hotel.
Yeah, that movie he made on Netflix where he de-aged everyone, that was super distracting.
The Irishman?
Yeah, and I'm a Star Wars fan.
You know what a film he directed that's good that people don't give enough credit to is Hugo.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Hugo's good because it's 3D. He shot it in 3D. He did a 3D movie, and it's quite good. Yeah.
All right, so they could both relate to being buried in the sand, Morrison says, but bumping heads is not out of the question in the early days of ruling Tatooine. Boba has his eye on trying to be different from Jabba, And maybe Fennec doesn't necessarily see it that way, Rodriguez hints, but they make a great team. So, which we see in the TV spots when she's like, "You're lucky Jabba doesn't feed you to his menagerie." He's not really trying to do that right off hand. But I still buy into the theory that he drops those people at that table into the Rancor pit. So I'm gonna maybe Fennec just does it. Maybe she gets tired of it and pulls the fucking switch. So they'll need the teamwork to take on the brutal fights. It says in the desert world, which Rodriguez, a master of high adrenaline films like Desperado and Sin City. God, I hate Sin City, by the way. Shaped with
funny thing about that. So I'm a big fan of the comic, and we went to go see the film, and I was like transfixed by it was like watching the 2 hour long version of like Liquid Television to me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, this is cool. This is cool. And then I got my first shot at a t-shirt company, and they made us watch the movie. Not that they had the license, the production manager was like, this is important. You need to watch this to be inspired. And I'm like, for some reason, I'm like, I don't want to watch that again. Like, I liked it, but then they put us in a room to watch it, and I was angry. I'm like, this fucking sucks. I don't know what happened, Jason. Like, I snapped out of whatever it was, and I hated it after that. Like, I don't know why.
It's like, if you're not that you partake, but if you just got stoned and looked at the visuals, you'd be like, this is cool. All right, I'll never watch that again. That was a good time. But like when you actually like it just was a movie where I thought I could see how it's pretty, but I could not connect to it. You know what I mean? Like I just couldn't connect to the visuals. I was like, I could understand how it's shot well, but just doesn't work for me. Yeah. So anyways, I always like action that tells you something about the character, he says. Wen sums it up. They're doers, not talkers, she says. So the drama's many action sequences had pros and cons for Morrison and Wen, who did much of the work themselves while battling one major foe, the desert banks of the Los Angeles set. I'm guessing they mean the El Segundo set, right?
Smell Gundo.
Yeah.
It smells out there.
Yeah. Sand gets in your nose and in your eyes.
It's trapped in a helmet. Fucking sucks.
Alone is difficult terrain to work on. The trade-off? Playing in the Star Wars sandbox. I have so many amazing toys that viewers are going to just be gaga over when a self-confessed massive Star Wars fan says with a laugh. Every day on set, I'd gasp and Tim would have to reel me back in and say, come on, let's work. Boy, they're all just a family on that set. Boy,
they're going to go gaga over this. I just know it.
Actors. They're just like us. Right?
I got all sorts of toys we're going to pull out.
One thing for sure, Boba and Fennec have a lot of work ahead of them in their quest for domination. Boba's a bounty hunter. He's not used to this. Not just being in power, but trying to lead and deal with all the different factions, says Rodriguez. Every time something new walks in, that's a new challenge. And you never know what's going to come through that door. Like baby Grogu and Han Solo? Just a guess. And then look at this shit. The Masked Singer's bull on that Britney Spears moment. Almost. Okay.
Live from the set of Mandalorian Theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, we're going back to props. Bullhead.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, I mean there was a little things to take into account there, but I also feel like some of the language was maybe taken very literal, and maybe it's not so literal. Like I am pretty sure we're gonna have a sideways with Mando. Like it just looks like it's like literally you feel like the evidence is there.
Well, because they're not showing you then.
Well, she says it takes place after, and I'm guessing that that's actually true, but I think in those moments she's obscuring the fact that it's going to also start sideways of Mando, season 2.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, anyways. But So yeah, should we get on to that old Tales of Power? And you want to tell us a little bit about Tales of Power?
Do we want? How many more weeks till Boba? We can stop guessing what the fuck the show is. Like it's so ridiculous. Is it a Christmas movie? Boba, the Boba. Is it really? It
No,
comes
it's
out
after
during Christmas. No.
After Christmas. More of a
Damn it.
More of a New Year's baby.
All right. I just thought hanging the little red bell from his helmet would make sense. Like he goes right here.
No, they were
All
going
right.
to do it, but Kathleen Kennedy hates Christmas, caved into the SJWs. And actually, speaking of, gotta say, a couple of little minor corrections. What was it? What was Homeboy's name? Who's doing that new Star Wars video game?
David Cage.
Yeah. So I looked into a little bit more of the jazz with him, and it definitely like goes both ways. Like, because it's French, you cannot, I am convinced, cannot find the true genesis of the FAG comment and of the comment on about women. And it sounds like he said that stuff while breaking down during a court case on the stand, and he breaks down into tears. So he may be throwing back at them what they were throwing at him. Not trying to stick up for the dude at all. Okay. But this is something that needs to be solved. Like I need to know the
Do you think and you know they'll never do it, so forget but do you think they need to do a Star Wars town hall meeting like with Kathleen Kennedy and David Cage and just do a no holds, like let's just talk about this, everything, all the rough stuff, get it out there and explain why we think you're the right person for this job and we can move on?
No, because the truth is that most of the people that are mad, they want to be mad.
Nice.
Like I said, like right now, I am of the mindset that the dude's a douchebag. Like that's where I'm at with them. I'm in like the fuck that dude like side of things, but I'm also like, you have to really know the context of those things, because he broke down, from what I understand, he broke down when he said those things. And if that's what he said, it might have been because they were accusing
the Roseanne Barr defense.
So, well, if somebody keeps throwing things like, oh, okay, and then you go, oh yeah, I'm this and I'm that. I just do this, I just do that, and then you run out. Then they just
it's a thing I do around the house for the last 30 years, right? Anytime I say something, I always go, let's read it back as if it were in court, because I used to hang out at the courthouse and I'd watch how they read things back on the transcriber, and inflection is completely gone, or ironic or anger or sadness or whatever,
And then the other thing that I think needs to be put onto the record, so to speak, is when they were making the photos of the employee. They photoshops.
Yeah, we read that one in the article.
The employee was doing it too. I think that's an important distinction to make, and it was thrown out of court. It was thrown out of court because of that.
Okay.
So it's like one of those things where I'm trying to get into the mindset of how did Lucasfilm look at this to approve it? How did Lucasfilm decide with that story group of High Republic people that this was going to fly? You know what I mean? And then this one right here, this is one that I truly have to admit that I do not necessarily have my head around yet. And so Chris is saying, dude hired for games trans icon Elliot Page. I don't get it. But what happens here is that Elliot, he's supposedly has a crush on Elliot Page. Is very Pepe Le Pew about it from the way it's been depicted.
What is going on?
Right? And
I don't understand any of this.
But it's a video game, and here's where I'm a little bit like if you grabbed Elliot Page and threw him, or if it was going by her, then whatever, threw him into the shower and filmed. There you have something. But if you're taking a digital depiction of somebody, is it the same? If it's a cartoon, is it the same? I don't know. Is it? I mean, I honestly don't know. I know but I believe he lost out of breach of contract in doing that. And but I'm not making a point for the record. I don't know. That's one of those digital kind of I don't know. That's like where is the line? Like we could agree that like deep faking somebody onto somebody else in a adult film is not appropriate. Like that's one thing.
Right.
But in the world of digital, you could and it's a video game, and I don't know what that I don't know how that works. Did the actor pose nude? And like they literally did like all, like a full body scan and then really kind of took the body and did something else with it. And it's even then, I could say it's definitely, in my opinion, wrong, but I could definitely see somebody stepping over that line innocently, maybe. But I don't know. I don't know all of the stuff. So I didn't plan on talking about that one because I don't understand it. I don't understand how that one went, but trying to figure out Lucasfilm's side of things on this, I don't think that was necessarily an issue for them because Star Wars doesn't deal in nudity. You know what I mean? So it was that those kind of issues and lines were never going to be crossed on a Star Wars property.
Look, rape is horrible, and when they use it as as a technique to seem edgy, it's even worse, right? Mm-hmm. In a way, because then you're glorifying. It's not like you're, but. Eliminating.
Wait. Was that a rape shower scene?
I suppose. I don't know. I'm just saying if that's what happened. Like if they took a digital double and she didn't know, but in the game she gets raped and the actor didn't know and there was a conflict. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. This is a hypothetical.
Okay.
Here's the thing though. Wrong as it is, for me it's just as wrong as handing Star Wars over to a company that year over year makes games about murdering brown people in all other countries. and you know what I mean? Every year for 20 years makes an annual game in which we're going to invade another country and murder people all the time. And that's for sport. Like it's no different, So that is like, again, where is the line, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, because my whole thing with the issue is, like I said, I don't have my head completely around it. So I really kind of don't know where I fall. I am falling more towards the guy's a piece of shit, but also like I need to know the actual like facts on what that stuff is.
There's so many talented developers.
Yeah.
Right. That it's just like, again, that they went with a thing that now we can't talk about the game. We have to talk about this other thing,
Yeah.
It'd be like if they cast Kevin Spacey as Darth Nihil. It's like, why? Talent as he may be, do we? This is it now. Is what we got. You guys really? There's no one else.
But I mean, like the court case, like the Ellen Page thing. He lost that one out of breach of contract, from what I understand. The other side of things, there's always a chance that it's being grossly misrepresented in the media on Twitter. And Lucasfilm looked at the actual true, like what was actually going on, and was like, yeah, no, this is not, it's not that. And
but we don't know because they won't talk about it. So,
but then they don't talk about it, and they don't tell us like anything. They don't make any statements. And like, and I don't want a statement. I mean, I'm hoping there's a statement that says, yeah, we looked into it, and actually here's what happened, and here's what our investigation uncovered, and why we came to the conclusion that he was a hireable employee for Lucasfilm or a contractor for Lucasfilm. And instead, it's just silence, which allows anybody to make anything that they want out of it. That is a Kathleen Kennedy problem. Is her silence allows the weirdos to puppet her and draw red eyes on her and shit like that. And people have there's nothing else to combat it because there's nothing else about her. She doesn't say anything. It's sort of like Palpatine in the original Star Wars. He's kind of like puts himself away, and then the bureaucrats get to play, but the bureaucrats are the internet in this instance. And I would rather, like I've said it 100 times, would rather have Kathleen Kennedy working for Star Wars than showboating her face around and making sound bites constantly. But we do need sound bites sometimes. There are times to speak and times not to. I don't know what those times are. I admit that. but there are definitely times to speak, and Kathleen Kennedy.
It's just they had Amy Hennig, and EA let it go. And to me, that's when LucasArts should be like, we're going to build $100 million studio, and Amy Hennig is going to lead our first game. And we're going to develop one game at a time. Like that would have been the time to do it. Like,
yeah, it's like you've been saying this, and I don't disagree with you, but I agree with you even more when I look at Star Wars doesn't fucking end. It never ends. There should always be a Star Wars game on the horizon for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
And so with that, with that in mind, I mean, I guess it is always cool to go after what's hot and grab that and try to have them make your next game, but it hasn't worked. And then like it kind of sucks because I was excited for the game, and everyone should be excited for the game, and then now that's kind of getting kind of ruined, But let's look at the old Tales of Power, because this is a fun one.
When you say Tales of Power, it sounds like the chintziest scholastic Star Wars book you've ever heard of, right?
Yeah.
Star Wars and the Tales of Power. And if you can get a free pizza if you finish the book.
Max says that she thinks, I honestly think when you don't comment, it's best most of the times, especially when it's bullshit. Don't fan the fire. Yeah,
but Max, this is a fire that will fan itself. I assure you.
And most times,
I don't know if Max understands how much Twitter hates David Cage before Star Wars. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, anyways, though, here is what is super fascinating about this book by our old friend Carlos.
All right. Go ahead.
Do you want to go into the Star Wars connections first, or do you want to go?
Well, so what I want to talk about was I'm digging through the Star Wars Photo Archives book. I have both of them. There's one for the original trilogy, one for the prequel trilogy, no sequel trilogy. And in there was the story treatments by George Lucas, dated November 28th, 1977. And he gets into, these are just his basic thoughts of what need to happen. And we'll go through all the stuff that need to happen in the Force. But he mentions a book that the Force is based off of, like his concepts of the Force, where is it? Right here. Beginning with the teachings of Don Juan, anthropologist Carlos Castaneda wrote a series of books detailing his training in shamanism under the guidance of yogi and sorcerer Don Juan Matus. In a separate reality, he is taught to perceive energy directly as it flows through the universe. So apparently Lucas used this as the concept of the Force, that it generates a force field. The idea is that
really quickly, there are scenes in the book that are pretty much Yoda and Luke Skywalker in Empire Strikes Back. Like
verbatim, right?
Not verbatim, but very, very close. Like you can see where the inspiration really comes from there. But go on, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Right. So this is just Lucas. We'll go up to the story notes, but Lucas right here explaining that the idea is that the act of living, like being alive, generates a force field, generates energy. That energy surrounds you. When you die, that energy goes with all the other energy, and that there's a giant ball of energy in the universe that has a good side and a bad side to it. You are part of that force because you actually generate the power that makes that force live. When you live, you have a piece of that power. When you die, you become part of that major force. You never really die, you just continue.
Really in the way it's dealt with in the book is that Carlos is with a shaman, and the shaman will take him out into the night, into the dark, and have him run around And at one point, like early on in the book, he sees a moth, but he runs from it, and he sees a man actually, and it was just a moth. And there's all of these different ways that it to like really become a sorcerer is what he's trying to help him become. And what happens is he's met a man 4 or 5 times. It sounds like several times. He's in competition with another man, and these are all people who want to become warriors. And he's never met the good one. He doesn't know that though. So he learns he's only met the evil side of these specific men. And that if the good side ever meets the bad side, you will die. It's like this whole thing, right? And that's where Lucas is getting that 2 side stuff from.
Well, here was his thoughts on the Force, right? This is so his initial story meeting for Empire Strikes Back dated November 28th, 1977, before I was born.
Yeah.
So this is like the year Star Wars comes out, right? Already, first off, cool, he already has the name, right?
Which name?
The Empire Strikes Back. Like he has it in 77.
Yeah, it sounds, and I believe there's it might have been Gary Kurtz who came up with it.
Yeah, well, it's pretty quick. I mean, opposed to now, where you're like, we don't know until weeks before.
Yeah,
we don't know. It's Project Blue Balls till the day of. Like,
I'm not saying that there's anything in this document that is shady, but in previous iterations of these kinds of books, even by J.W. Rinsler, they had photoshopped things in and out of the text. They had corrected George Lucas's spelling errors, because he's a really bad speller, and I don't blame him back then, especially. But when you see stuff like that,
I've read enough birther documents to be able to tell those little those little pixels around it.
Yeah, right. But sorry, go on.
So this is Lucas's thoughts on the Force for Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Break down the common denominator of religions. One of the prime sources for the Force came from the Castaneda books. The primary tangible things used as a guide is the Castaneda thing, which is essentially a sociological study of religion, including parapsychic phenomenon, auras. Though it's never completely explained in the other film, the idea is that the act of living generates a force field. It generates energy, and that energy surrounds you. When you die, that energy goes with all the other energy, and there's a giant ball of energy in the universe that has a good side and a bad side to it. You're part of that force because you actually generate the power that makes that force live. When you live, you actually have a piece of that power. When you die, you become part of the major force. And you never really die, you just continue as part of this force field, which has its own mind. It's God or whatever.
Okay. So
it's a lot, dude.
So right here is where this is where the ultimate irony resides, I think. I remembered when you asked me, was I familiar with it? I was like, no, I'm not. And then I went and picked up.
I'd never heard of it, by the way, before I read this.
Copy of it. And as I started looking through the copy of it, I had read an article sized chunk of it in the past. And you know why I read that? Because I went to school to be an ethnographer, and it was literally on the section of what not to do as an ethnographer, because he's a fraud. The dude is a fucking fake. He did
no
not
shit.
go. He did
Ben
not
and
go,
Spoons.
Yeah, he didn't go and live with the people he said he lived with at all. People who studied them were like. He made it.
These are like the guys. Hold on. These are like the guys that would hoodwink the Beatles so they could hang out with them for like, 6 weeks or something.
He basically frauded his way through UCLA, and got a PhD at UCLA by just making it up. He also plagiarized the hell out of everything. And Castaneda, I believe is his name, Carlos Castaneda, I think is how you say his name, and he's the author of Power. I can't stanza.
Yeah.
Costanza. Yeah. But so he writes. So anyways, though, but here's what I find fascinating about it. is I do think because he plagiarized so much, he had done the outside reading. He was interested in these concepts. And I think what he did was he went around and he pulled all of the various like ideas from other ethnographic works and things like that around this idea of what he thought shamanism could be. Because for the most part, when you go to learn to like be a magician, and I mean this in the like shamanistic way, you're not allowed to go back and write about it and bring it to white people. That's not really like in the stars for them. That's not really what they're about. And like the book even begins like, people say I shouldn't be writing about this and bringing it back to everyone. And he's like,
it sounds like an interview with Tom DeLonge.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not being mean, but
no. And the shaman's like, it doesn't matter. You don't understand anyways. And like that's kind of his way of getting around it. Like, oh, it doesn't matter. And you could just see a bunch of white people in San Francisco going, oh my God, it's so deep and powerful.
Yeah, that was in 68 and 71, so 100%.
Yeah. And it's like, and I mean, he's the pseudonym for the shaman is Don Juan.
Don Juan, I know. Right? When I saw this, I'm like, was Lucas had to just be getting high, having a good time.
Yeah. But anyways, but where I'm going with it is that I think what Castaneda does in the end, it's sort of what Joseph Campbell does. He takes all of these common things that run through all of these shamanistic kind of ideas.
Then finds a way to get laid.
Well, no, he puts them all
just like Joseph Campbell
and did all the homework for George Lucas. Yeah. In the end, like he like literally sets up the force for George Lucas. And
when I first read this, it felt like they had made 100 documentaries for me without ever actually releasing them. And I thought, that would be a good thing to do. So
the only like thing I found actually truly different that differed from George Lucas's perspective and Castaneda's perspective of the concept of the force, if you will, is that there's this moment in the book where the shaman is talking to the student, which is Carlos Castaneda, and he says, I'm not a master because a warrior is not above anybody. Only a beggar is below a warrior. A beggar will beg and bow to anybody just to get what he wants, but a warrior doesn't, but a warrior is also not above anybody. So therefore, I'm not a master and I cannot be your master. And Star Wars went right with Jedi Master. that's almost
also Ward's. In his book, it became bigger. And I wrote the wills, so things got microscopic. So, I inverted it, so it's not the same. I changed it 20%.
Too much. Yeah. But it definitely. I honestly found a lot of what the dude was writing really fascinating in conjunction with the phenomenon and with the works of Jacques Vallée. Like those guys would definitely smoke pot and hang out together, like for sure. They probably did. But who wrote? Max is asking who wrote this article. This is from a book called Tales of Power by Carlos Castaneda. You can get the PDFs for free very easily by just Googling it.
This right here is from the book, The Star Wars Photo Archives.
This is the Star Wars Photo Archives. And but also remember that Tales of Power is made up. It's not true. It's
Tales of Power is not to be confused with Worlds of Power, which was my favorite book series as a kid, which retold the adventures of Ninja Gaiden, Blaster Master.
And that's all that's all true.
Mega Man 2. That all really happened. So
yeah.
Tales of Power, Worlds of Power. But I would be dumb enough to get the name screwed up when I was a kid, and I'd get this book instead of Worlds of Power and be like, what? Where's fucking Mega Man?
in the book, it probably says luminous beings 10 times. Like literally luminous beings is truly where they pulled that from directly.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, what else does our buddy George say anything else on this stuff? That's
specifically the Force, or do we want to go over the story treatment for? We can go through Luke. Let's go through Luke, right?
Okay.
So we'll continue this page, right?
Yeah.
We'll just continue this right here.
Okay.
On the pragmatic side of the Force, want to perfect
All right,
Luke
sorry,
as
wait. Wait, really quickly, because I don't want to go back to this again. What do you mean fake? So in ethnography, you go out into the field and you interview people, you live with them. That's called participant observation. Then you come back, you write up the story, and then you give analysis of what their culture was like. What he did was none of that. He did not even go to the place where he says he went. He might have visited for a very short time. He describes locations that he's clearly never been to the people who've been there. Other anthropologists were like, this is not real at all. Like, this is not what this location was like in any way.
It'd be
So
like me describing Galaxy's Edge to you, right? Because I've
yeah,
seen photos and was in VR, but you're gonna be like,
yeah, and I'm like everything in VR is not actually the park. You made it up, and that's actually essentially what he did. And
Right.
he was caught, and what he ends up doing is he eventually gets caught, and he just like retreats. I believe he just retreats from public life. He's like goes and hides away, but
Until he sees Empire and he can't even sue him because he's like, oh, what am I gonna sue him over? You know?
but the book caught on with the hippies, and so he just like let it be, you know.
Then he
And
joined the John Birch Society and things got really worse.
I want to say, God, this is from memory. I think he started like a fake religion or a cult,
Oh yeah.
and then he died or something like that. Yeah, but yeah. So basically, the book is super fascinating. It's a good read. I found it like as if you were down just for like a philosophical master and apprentice. Master's not the right word in this instance, but you know what I mean. Student and teacher kind of conversation about spirituality. Fascinating book, really it is.
You think Chiloni would ever pull from that book, or do you think they're done with that?
I don't think so. I think he would probably shortcut right back to those 2-hour videos they shot of George Lucas talking about this stuff.
Time travel wolves.
Just a guess though.
Time travel wolves. That's
Yeah,
what we
but
did.
Bill's all he went into seclusion, laugh at it. So Star Wars. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, he's
George is like, I put that in the book in the movie too. You know?
and he's a very good writer. He's a very like I've probably read 300 ethnographies throughout my life, and he's a good writer. But I guess it's really easy to be a really good writer when you're not doing the field work. You know what I mean? When you're writing fan fiction based off of other works you read, that's what I think it amounted to. But in the end thing is the same as what Joseph Campbell did. Joseph Campbell wasn't faking his stuff. He just pulled in, here's all of the commonalities and myths. And this guy went and brought in a bunch of commonalities in shamanistic religions and ideas about the force and the living force and that, you know, of our world, and puts it into one book. And then we have our idea for Jedi, essentially. So yeah. So okay, let's move on now.
All right. on the pragmatic side of the Force, I want to perfect Luke as a fighter, which will create sort of a superhero. You won't have superhuman powers. When you learn the Force, you learn a lot of things. You have all the parapsychic powers that we know, plus various other mystical things. Dude, Dan Aykroyd had to be like, just, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh I love it, I love it.
Did we just become best friends?
It is a constantly learning struggle, so that every time we see Luke, he's always proving himself, getting better in the Japanese tradition of really becoming perfect at what you do. So you think George watched? I wonder how familiar he was with that Japanese concept. All right, in this film, it sounds like something you just Kurosawa. They're really good at stuff, and that's what Jedi. In this film, we're going to throw him into this devotion of becoming the perfect Jedi Knight, learning his craft very well. The second act of the film will be Luke's training. It's going to be intercut with offshoot plots with Leia and Han and the robots. Keep the pace going with these other things, but it's really Luke's training to become really good. Do you get that sense that he's becoming really good in the film?
In the actual film, what they had to remove because it wasn't working did do that. Like you had like metal bars and stuff. There was like this one scene that was only in the comics when I was a kid, Empire comic, and it was like these like metal bars and he's like cutting them in half. And when they released the 2011 DVDs, they actually put some of those moments on there, but they just didn't come together. So you were going to show him actually growing as a warrior. Instead, you only have that one moment where Luke reaches out, and then he does the remote viewing essentially of Han and Leia. I mean, and so I guess you can justify it as mission accomplished, but that's all that's left by the end of the cut. Yeah.
I'm aware, Biller. I'm just Bill Miller. Bill Miller. I'm aware. I'm just wondering, like,
what's
like
Miller? Oh.
Bill Miller writes, Bushido's to become a perfect warrior. Maybe that Shinto belief in the perfection of mind, body, soul. Also, like, Dan Carlin once phrased it when he was talking about the war in the Pacific, that the Japanese they're just like everyone else, only more so. If you think about everything that you would do, they would do that, but more. Like, that's the basic concept. I just find, like, a
fun PlayStation game, Bushido Blade. I had a good time.
I love it when my friend goes, "It's got black and white mode." I'm like, "So it's your fucking TV. Look, just turn the color down." Like, all right. I mean, I still got my copy of Bushido Blade on the shelf. I can talk shit. So
we probably really like Sin City though, huh?
Next to Xenogears. So and my Suikoden too. I still have them, Jason. So, the basic idea is the classic revenge idea. Luke is drawn into his training due to a problem that develops during the first half. The final thing is his wreaking revenge on Darth Vader's forces. wreaking revenge. Okay. That's the surface story. But we know the whole thing from the beginning is a huge trap that later has set the whole thing up as to trick Luke into coming to have a confrontation. We won't explain it completely in the beginning, but toy with the fact that Vader is setting some kind of trap. It won't be the final confrontation between them where someone has to die. That is the one that will decide. That is the one that will decide who is going to become the winner. Tend to go in the direction that this trilogy will end with Vader getting killed. In this film, we will work on setting up the final fight, which will eventually come. Now we're really going to train Luke, obviously, for that confrontation. But the whole thing will work on a sort of trap-like mechanical situation so that we can skirt that issue, leading toward it, but saving it for the next book. I really feel this is a transcribe. There's no fucking way George typed that out.
Yeah.
This has to be a transcription because that's how he talks. He doesn't, and I've read his dialogue. He doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two other developments in the Force. One is the Emperor, which is a major plot development. He may be the one who is safe for the end. When you get rid of the Emperor, the whole thing's over with. The final episode is the restoration of the Republic. So, and then Vader's, gets into Vader and stuff. So.
Right.
But I mean, look, that idea, right? Like spitballing all that in 77 is what the movie is.
Sure.
It's not like when you fucking sit down with, say, you get to see what Trevorrow was coming up with, and then JJ's coming up with something. It's like, it isn't like going through these endless revisions. Like, there's an auteur sitting down saying, think we should go in this direction. We should explore this, and that's what they did.
Right.
So, and I don't know. Like, I think a lot of people think because the Marvel movies, I think they think the Marvel movies are all developed in a giant group, and they are, and they aren't. Like, the only time they had a real story group, the Marvel story group, the one in New York,
right?
That's when the movies were getting bad. That's how you got Iron Man 2 and Thor 2. Avengers was one where they stayed out of it a lot. They let Josh just write the script, and it just like, hey, look at that. So,
right.
Like, I think whatever they're doing over there, they found the balance between the producing side of things, and the developer side. But right. I just feel like when you sit down with someone who you believe in, that they should maybe just verbalize a bunch of what they think it should be and then develop it maybe. I don't know, like, because I just don't think, like, JJ's sitting around having these kinds of conversations about Star Wars too much, Like, I don't. I wonder if it's more like, I've never seen that process. I've heard Lindelof talk about, look, when they came up with Lost in the beginning, right?
Like kind of one of the problems. I don't know if it's a problem, but one of the methodological problems I would say exists is the fact that George Lucas and Lucasfilm have had enough time to believe his bullshit and not his true methodology for getting to Empire. And
Right.
like as I was rereading, or actually I only ever read like a chunk of Tales of Power in grad school, and like I said, as a what not to do in ethnography section.
Coincidentally speaking, guys, not related to Star Wars.
Yeah, no, not anything about Star Wars. But as I was rereading it last night and reading through the whole thing, I was like, wow, the Don Juan character is the prototype Jedi as we see him in A New Hope and Empire. Mostly Yoda, but in both of those. And it feels like the ideas of Yoda and Obi-Wan became the derivative idea for Jedis as time goes on. And boy, if I was in charge of Lucasfilm, I would definitely have somebody who is writing about Jedi next read Tales of Power just to get exactly like that vibe, because it's very Yoda. Like in it, he's laughing at him a lot and stuff like that, you know? And he's like, he laughs a lot and tells him what he doesn't know, calls him dumb a few times, but like in a loving way.
Well, we can get into Yoda here with Ben.
Yeah.
This is interesting. This brings up Tales of Power. So here's Lucas's thoughts on bringing back Kenobi, right? Let me zoom this out a little bit. Bring back Ben. May bring back Ben eventually. We'll have to bring back the voice. May also bring back the ghost of Ben, not the person of Ben. Luke learning the Force through a combination of things and rituals. Most of the Force came from Tales of Power, Carlos Castaneda. Most interesting to have him train in the same way. Be at one with nature. Getting yourself down to a state where you can feel the Force and understand it. Want to get Luke into being a better fighter, a real fighter. Lee wanted to know if he has someone to play off of. We'll use voice and may even use Ben's ghost. Also want to use another person.
In case anybody doesn't know. Lee
Brackett.
The writer of Empire, who dies of cancer and doesn't get to finish.
Right.
Unfortunately for her.
Original idea was to have that person be an alien, not being human, some sort of creature, not in monster mode, strange and bizarre, but old Indian in the desert type. Lord of the Rings type. At first repulsive and slimy, but after you get to know them, kind and wise. Alien desert rat kind of idea, which is what Ben started out as. Crazy old man out in the desert. Decided to keep him very noble after working with Alec Guinness. Intrigued with idea of not taking something on surface value, something switching. Instead of withered old man, using a withered old space creature. The way to think of it as Golem, which is this crazy little nitwit that goes scurrying around like a rat. That in the end teaches Luke a lot of stuff about the Force. Very hard to be completely inventive. Best to take good ideas and express them in a different way. So, best to take good ideas and express them in that's the Yoda speak.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's like, if there's a good point to be made, then it's worth making again so that more people are exposed to it. Take the goodness and say it again for people. So, like, the Yoda speak. He's taking the morals and then finding a way to re-switch the words so that they sound more... you get the moral out of it. So that's how I take that.
Yeah.
Plus the Golem thing, like Yoda's Golem.
He might be kind of talking about like that fortune cookie kind of speaking patterns, you know, there. But he also may just be talking about taking Don Juan and making and saying the same stuff.
That's true. That's true.
In a more packaged way. I'm not sure. Because I mean, up top he is talking about it, but I'm not sure if it's still talking about it there.
Yeah, and all this other stuff we know. This is the love
Wookiee
story.
Problem?
Yeah, Wookiee problem. Fucking Wookiees. If we send him, if we send handoff, Wookiee will probably also have to go. Have a Wookiee planet. Can bring more Wookiees in, even if Chewbacca is lost in this one with Solo. Can bring back a couple of other Wookiees. Sequel novel has Yezum. Big furry ball with long legs. Third creature drawn by Rod Cobb. May or may not use Wookiee planet in this one.
Yeah, the Wookiee only has one E in this still at this point. But yeah, interesting. Which obviously proves that they didn't correct it, which is good.
Would have been funny if Grogu's name was Yezum. Like he's the furthest thing from a big furry ball with long legs.
Yeah, we end
Yeah.
up seeing he strangely ends up in Return of the Jedi as a very bad puppet, kind of just bolted to the wall, and then becomes Joe Yauza, the singer of the Max Rebo band, everybody's
Oh
favorite.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a
That's
yesm.
a yesm.
Yeah, for a time they were going to be Ewok hunters. Then those evolved into the Dualocs by the time of the cartoon. And yeah, they never really we kind of just got that really annoying yasm or a yasm.
Yesm.
So yeah. Anyways, once again, I recommend checking out the PDF of the book and flipping through it if you're interested in the development of Star Wars and where George Lucas's head was. Everybody reads Hero with a Thousand Faces, and it's pretty good. Honestly, I'll be honest with you. You could Wikipedia the fuck out of that book and probably get the same takeaway that George got in the end of with the Campbell stuff. And I think that this one, though, I got to say, for understanding the development of how Star Wars was written, it's pretty important, actually, though. You know, it's just bad scholarship. That's all. Bad scholarship, great fiction. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm shocked it was never brought. I mean, probably because of that, because of the plagiarism and scholar, all that stuff.
It was pretty loved. I mean, people like at the time were like, yeah, this is fake, but we love it.
Well, I'm saying maybe because of that, though, is why it wasn't brought up in the Bill Moyers interview with Joseph Campbell or anything. Like, you would think during that conversation, I mean, yeah, you're going to plug his own book, but fucking He Without the Face was like 50 years old already. Like, They talked about a lot of things in that interview. And I'm surprised. I did as much research as one could do in 1994 through 8 and 9 on the internet and, Usenet forums and whatever.
Sure.
Never came across Tales of Power by Carlos Castaneda as the basis for this, in all the annotated screenplays, never came across it. I mean, maybe I missed it somehow. Like someone go, it's right there, Rob, dude, the whole time. Like somehow I missed that. But I was looking when I went to write, my own little fan fiction. I was looking for the origins of this sort of thing, so I could do the opposite.
Right.
Because I was like, I don't want to. My buddy was like, I always want to make this. He wanted to make a Jedi movie. I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do what the opposite of that would be. So I had to go and get a bunch of Tai Chi magazines, and then I found a book about how they school children in China, like their actual educational system, and I tried to marry the two and then move away from whatever was in the movies. So I would have read this.
Yeah. It's I think if there's no good reason other than ego at play, Hero of a Thousand Faces lays out something that, like, Lucas isn't plagiarizing Joseph Campbell. He's taking Joseph Campbell's observations on hundreds of myths, if not thousands of myths, and then using that to sort of...
Well, there's a little diagram in like chapter 2 of Hero of the Thousand Faces, you know what I mean, with the hero's journey. So Lucas could easily go, perfect structure for film, It's the story circles. He just has like a guide because, writing the screenplay drives him nuts. I mean, that is very evident even in that autobiography that the guy that put out the Lucas autobiography. He did the Henson and the Lucas one.
The Brian Daly one, the old one? Not Brian
Daly. No. It was a couple years ago. He put it out, like in the last 5 years or so. It's super good. I had the audio novel, so I don't remember the name of it because I'm listening. I'm not reading. Yeah. But like when he has to lock himself in a room and write Star Wars, with the typewriter, he's not having a good time.
Yeah. But the force is just lifted from this. The force is literally just like, what fancy smart shit did this guy say? I'm going to take that and reword it in Yoda speak. I mean, it really is. A lot of it really is just like that. The dynamic between Luke and Yoda, I feel like is also somewhat lifted from it as well. And so I think it's a little bit more on the nose and not what you would want to, if you want to appear to be a genius, it's not what you would necessarily want to reveal, is my guess.
Yeah, that's how I take it. I mean, we all have our influences, but he's very cagey. Like he'll outright lie in his own PR. And I'll point you. Go watch the interviews he does with Leonard Maltin. You can watch them on YouTube at the end of the VHS tapes for the last reissue of the original trilogy. When Maltin goes, so why is it taking you so long to put together the new movies? And he's like, well, I'm writing all three at the same time. You know, and it's like, you're not. Because I believed him that he was writing he says 3 screenplays, not developing the story, Jason. Not we're storyboarding or concept arting 3 movies. He says, I am writing 3 screenplays at the same time. And it's a big undertaking,
Well, he was writing them in order.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, is it a lie or is it promotion speak? And then was George Lucas a hell of a lot more lazy than what we thought? I think even he was surprised about how lazy he got.
Yeah,
that is my guess.
Yeah, my wife does that to me sometimes because the Army was 20 years ago, Rob. I'm like, are you questioning my work ethic? You want to get crazy, Rob? I mean, nice. Rob has been like to be sociable and not divorced. Like you want. He's still here. He's ready to go at a moment's notice. Crazy.
Hey, I have an idea. Tell her you hang out with this guy.
It's Grandmaster Wards.
What?
Grandmaster B.
But all right. I'm going to go and I'm going to go watch TV with Penny until she falls asleep because she got school tomorrow. 2 more days though, right? Mm-hmm. And then Christmas vacation. So I think I will see
Christmas cake.
Christmas vacation.
Christmas with a K?
Yeah, you said
Christmas vacation.
No, that's Krampus. Krampus is evil.
Krampus
is the evil Santa Claus. It's like a scary thing. But yeah, we'll be back on tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, right? We
in the morning because tomorrow night, Ward, you'll never believe it, I found an empty theater for Spider-Man.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because you could reserve seat and it's empty. And it's not filling up, like, because apparently it's the theater no one likes, because it doesn't have good sound. I'm like, perfect. I'll just stay out of there, and I'm gonna mask up. I got no eating, no drinking. I'm gonna wear glasses and 3 masks. And if I could get the Mysterio bubble, I'd wear that too. But
all right,
cosplay. So leave me alone. But
yeah. So, anyways, thanks to everyone. Oh, you know what? I didn't play the dumb video. I'm gonna play the dumb video, and then we are going to call it a show, and we will see you guys tomorrow after that.
Hi, I'm a cartoon depiction of Jason Ward. You can support the show on patreon.com/MakingStarWars or on YouTube by becoming a channel member. It hurts to be a cartoon. It's very painful, in fact. But know that every time this channel gains a supporter, a little piece of my soul leaves this toon universe and returns to Jason, making us whole again. This show will always be free, but it's never been free to create. If you think it deserves it, become a channel member or a Patreon.
It's not about spaceships.
Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show.
It's not about spaceships.
Crazy thing to do. That's a crazy thing to do.
it just cut off.
Yeah, I just do what I want sometimes.
It's funny.
I